DJ Wolf, hey, it just recently dawned on me. I was watching one of my favorite reality shows, and before I tell you what it is, I watched several reality shows over the years. Many of them very interesting. Some of them are good, and some of them are just downright terrible. I started out watching from the Real World in 1991. Worked my way up to Survivor, and then to that god awful but yet entertaining Flavor of Love. The first reality show that really got me to really understanding how phony some of these reality shows really are was Flavor of Love. Now, Flavor Flav supposedly found his true love after 3 years. I mean, season 3. I'm sorry, season 3. Then all of a sudden, he went back to his baby mama who was ugly to Methuselah, and talking about, I never realized all these years. I didn't realize that the one love I already had, the one love that I thought I never had, was already here. My thing is, dude, the truth of it was, Flavor of Love was nothing but a ratings bonanza for you in the VH1, because mainly you guys were still selling wolf tickets. You were just about meeting girls. That's all about. This show was a joke, and the women that was on it was a joke too, all of them, including my personal favorite, Delit. She was fat to death, but that's another story. She was a porn star, so the whole show was a bunch of bullshit. I still liked it though, but it was still a bunch of bullshit nevertheless. But anyway, and Love and Hip Hop, the Love and Hip Hops are too, but I still like watching them. You know, all Basketball Wives I watched for about a minute. And I watched it for a few, and I had to get rid of it. It was just a bunch of garbage. It really was. Basketball Wives was probably one of the worst reality shows I've ever seen. It's just so contrite and fake, and I had to let it go. I told her, I said, I can't. I would watch it with my wife. I was into it, but I had to let it go. One of the few reality shows I like, even though I know some of that I think is contrite, but it's really good, is one of the better ones. Is Real Housewives of Atlanta. You know, the one I don't like that's out now is the Real Housewives of Potomac, which is shot out here in Potomac, Maryland, and they are so bourgeois, all of them. One of them was a former wife of former Washington Wizards coach Eddie Jordan, and she phony as hell. The whole group is just bourgeois, and I think another one is matter of fact, Juan Dixon's ex-wife is on here, and who I believe played under Eddie Jordan, if I'm not mistaken. But the show is just so contrite and so phony. They really a trip. But I have a new personal favorite. Well, one of them is on Lifetime. It's two of them. Actually, several of them. Little Women Atlanta, Little Women LA, the Pop Game, and the Rap Game. Rap Game was like top show on there, and bring it. Anyway, so my wife and I was watching Little Women in Atlanta last night, and there was a storyline where Minnie and Juciy, which is beefing. Juciy, who actually is a radio sidekick of talk show radio host, comedian, actor Ricky Smiley, right? Down in Atlanta, Atlanta-based show. Anyway, so I pick him up here sometime in the DMV. Excuse me. So in any case, she was beefing and about I guess her and Juice had a little tumultuous. Well, they kind of been on and off friends for you, on the show for a while, and she was talking about how much Minnie was talking about how much Ricky Smiley was a friend of her, right? And he called her his wife. He said, my little wife, or whatever. And I guess she kind of took it to heart. So at one point she was trying to cool him up by had him some kind of shield or something that was made for to represent his former fraternity, that he belonged to when he was in college. And so she had made this special, whatever the thing was. That was specific to his college. I think they call it a crest or something. Anyway, so she had it made for him. And then she was telling the girls, I guess a couple of girls on the show overheard that she wanted to see about going into radio. And she was going to see about asking Ricky if he can get her to hook up. So this was the funny part. So they actually were going to a charity that Juicy invited them to, and this is how it happened. And Juicy invited them all there. So they get to this charity where at the Senior Citizen Center where they actually got invited, they entertain the senior citizens and all of that. And so at one point, Minnie, she brought out the crest that she had, a special crest that she had made for Ricky Smiley. That was a crest from his representative of an emblem for his fraternity. And she wrote a check that she donated to the Ricky Smiley Foundation, which was the sponsor of the Senior Citizens get-together for $5,000. And then she turned around, and while she was when she did that, Juicy had the look on her face, she had the look of death on her face. And she's like, what? She's trying to show me up, So then she turned around and found out that Juicy found out that Minnie had asked Ricky Smiley for a job to work at his radio station. And then that's when the two had her confrontation at a local bar later on in the show. Now, my question comes to mind. Now, the check that Minnie presented was a check for $5,000. And I'm thinking, I don't have $5,000 to give to anybody, myself. And I do all right, But she just turned around and just gave him a check for $5,000. And I'm thinking, personally, if you have that kind of money to be given, be donating to somebody, first question comes to mind. You must not be doing as bad as you claim you are to be trying to ask for a job with Ricky Smiley. I'm thinking you probably don't need to get a job working for Ricky Smiley if you're able to just come out and just donate $5,000. Now, it's two scenarios for me that's behind that. Either she has a job and trying to fuck with Juicy so she can get this job just to get under her skin, and or she's tired of the job she's at and she thinks she's gonna make that kind of money on Ricky Smiley's show or Ricky Smiley, or maybe the producers gave her the money to give to Ricky to bump up the storyline. It's one of the three, but I don't know which is which. I'm assuming probably you ain't making that kind of money, and they probably just bumped it up in the storyline to make you look like, oh yeah. But the whole thing it didn't make sense. Why would somebody have that kind of money to give away, and yet they're asking for a job? $5,000 is not a lot of money, but it's enough if you're giving away $5,000 and you are asking for a job. I kind of question the validity of the show. Somewhere along the line, something about the show was very contrite. Very contrite. It has to be, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't have no $5,000 to give away to nobody, but I can tell you one thing. If I had enough money to give away, I wouldn't be trying to get a job for Ricky Smiley. Let's put it like this. I would have already had a job, or I wouldn't have been worried about trying to jump on her job. And the other thing that bothered me about it was that Juicy, Minnie didn't even mention Juicy. She just willy-nilly did it. She wanted to be what Minnie is. And I don't know. It's just a weird scenario about that whole thing. And Juicy just went in on her. I don't blame her. She's trying to muscle in on her job. But if you really wasn't about that, trying to do that, you could just ask her, you let her know yourself. But Many feel like, oh, I ain't gotta do that. You know, the radio industry ain't just built for just Juicy. Well, we know that, but why'd you go about trying to get a job on Ricky Smiley's show knowing you don't get along with Juicy? That's what I'm saying. That's the other thing that don't make any sense. If you don't get along with her, why are you trying to work for the same employer as her? If you don't like her that much. None of that whole thing makes sense, but it is entertaining television. I will say that. That's the only reason why you brought this up. Little Women Land, I think, is on Wednesday nights. If I'm not mistaken, is it 9 or 10? It's on the Lifetime channel. I know that. It's a very good show. I always get fully entertained when I watch it. Great show. Funny and touching at times, but this definitely is a great show. My personal favorite is the Booty Twins. Just the little, whatever they are. I don't mean that. I really don't mean that, but they're cute. But, you know, it's... But anyway, Little Women Atlanta, Wednesday nights on Lifetime. And yes, I'm giving a shameless plug because I do like the show nevertheless. I just question the validity of somebody who would give away $5,000 check to an organization and then ask for a job. It's just, none of that makes sense to me. None of that makes sense. If I had that kind of money to give away, there would be no need for me asking for a job in the first place. So, in any case, this is DJ Wolf. Just put a little something on your mind to chew on, man. I just didn't get it. So, all right. That's all I got for right now. I'm likely to do a podcast tonight because I got some things I got to stay up to work on tonight anyway. Maybe on Blog Talk Radio, I don't know, because I want to set my new podcast studio hook up, and I'm going to try to take some calls either way. 347-426-3596. That's 347-426-3596. Spreaker.com and Blog Talk Radio. What are these fools doing out here on this road? Let me get off here, man. This guy's about to get stupid on the road. All right, guys, it's DJ Wolf. That's all I got to say. I got one thing on the background tonight.